Bangkok, Thailand. I am Scott Mallon, an American in Bangkok. And wow, this stream is going to hurt a little bit, as is one of my upcoming videos, because I think, as the title said or says, I think it's for those looking for a place to retire. I think Thailand. Uh, I understand the allure. However, there are other places, and I'm not going to get into those places because there are many of them. But there are plenty of other places as good or better where you will not only be treated better, but you will be able to uh, retire with far less hassle. And I think the problems that are showing themselves now, that are being illustrated, um, anybody who has a fair amount of money is going to hold back right now and not necessarily to uh, jump to rush over to Thailand. I just don't think that an intelligent person is going to do that immediately. Um, and so it really takes, it's going to take some time for everything to settle here. And I don't think it's going to ever be the same. And I've said this many, many times. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. I don't want to be the messenger who, don't shoot me up because I'm the messenger. But, earlier this week I did a video. I uploaded a video that asked the question, should I still retire in Thailand? And I came to the conclusion that, during this current time, it's probably best to take a wait and see approach. Now, after a little bit of consideration and some time to really think about this in depth, I think that not only is now not a good time, but the future might not be a good time. It used to be that you got maximum fun here for minimum hassle. Now it's inverted. And while not everybody who's retiring wants maximum fun, they just want to have a quiet life, I think there are many other places that are more welcoming, less problematic, and I think that it's still good to take a wait and see approach. The only thing that I would say is if you're already in the midst of coming over here you're already here, you can always leave. You can always take off. So, that's the good news. Now, before I keep going here, I wanted to say a couple of things. And I wanted to give the positives. And one of the positives is this week, the Prime Minister stated that the order for the submarines, the submarine order, it was 22.5 billion baht, which is 685 million US dollars, has been diverted to the COVID funds to be used for the COVID, to combat the COVID virus and to, I guess, to purchase vaccines. Also, some good news, 20 million doses of Pfizer. There was a contract signed yesterday for 20 million doses. Delivery is supposed to be this last quarter of the year. And if I remember correctly, that's when Moderna is set to be delivered. So hopefully that's a step in the right direction, and we'll be able to see some things happening around the end of the year, first part of next year, and by, say, the middle of next year, things will be much better. That's what I'm hoping for. That doesn't mean that it's still a great place to come to retire. Now, I'm here. I've been here a long time, which is why I'm not apt to just pick up and leave. It's not that it's not a great place to retire anymore, in my opinion, and the reason is because of the attitude of the government towards foreigners and the hoops they make you jump through, not only for the COVID, but before the COVID. This place was on a downward trend. And I said a long time ago, Thailand has changed. It's changing. And people came out, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. The prices are the same. The prices haven't gone up in years. Everything's not about price. Thailand is a place that is, foreigners come because of the value. You get a lot for your money. And that still is the same. However, the hassles and the increasing number of hassles. You got expats that are living here. Well, I'm not even going to get to this, but you got tourists. Now we're talking about tourists right now. You got tourists that come over here. They want to stay for, say, a year. They want to travel around Asia. They're going to have. It's a bit of a hassle to do so here. Why do they need to make it such a hassle? It doesn't need to be such a hassle. Not everybody is out to do bad things in Thailand. And so I think they're going to have to make some changes if they ever wanted to approach just the pre-COVID Thailand that we came to know. I'm not even talking about 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years ago when this place was fantastic. And if you weren't here 30 years ago, you don't know what I'm talking about. And if you don't know, then all you have to base things on now is the current Thailand. You hear about it, and you're like, oh yeah, but it's not that bad. Let me tell you something. If you know what it was like before, and you know what it is, say pre-COVID, and you know what it is now, this place has changed. I used to say Thailand is going to be similar to Singapore. They're trying to get that Singaporean model. Now I'm like straight up, it's more like Russia, China. And I don't particularly like that. So I think that it bears scrutiny. And I think that those people who are looking to retire to a place, and I know a few are in the chat regularly, I think they really need to think about it before they come over. And I'm one to look at both sides. I still think Thailand is a good place to retire. I just think there are other places. You can go to Europe. You can go to South America. You can go to Central America. You can go to Mexico. Thank you very much, Tom. Choke D. Appreciate it. Choke D to you and yours. Yeah, I mean, there are more and more rules. And unfortunately, this is a trend that we're seeing worldwide. It's not only in Thailand. You can't just fault the Thais. I mean, they are taking advantage of a situation here in the name and the interest of safety, as are many other places. And I think they're very skeptical about, oh, we're going to get through it. I would not recommend the Philippines. I don't even know that I would recommend Vietnam. Vietnam is a place that I think should rank higher than Thailand, but I think the Philippines still has a ways to go because of the infrastructure and because of many things. But there are some great places in the Philippines. I think that there are a lot of other places, though. Malaysia is a place that I would have never considered, and I've been watching some videos. And, if you want to get out of the city, then Malaysia is a much better place than you might expect. So, well, another thing is that the Thais, let me get to this here because this is pretty telling. I talked the other day about this 10-year foreigner visa. The Thais the Thai government seems to think that Thailand is a high-end destination. I personally don't think it is. I think they're going to have to up their game. They're going to up the quality of their service. They're going to have to do all sorts of things to get it anywhere near someplace like, you're going to Cannes or you're going to Switzerland somewhere. Or you're going to even like Ibiza. You're going to have to raise your game because their game is not. Who wants to go to Phuket? Listen, I don't like going to Phuket, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't want to deal with some moto driver or some taxi guy who's telling me I need to take him and I can't take the one on the street. I don't want to have to deal with that shit. Now, when I went to Phuket, I did see that a lot of people were having pricing issues and they were being gouged and all these things. That's not good for Thailand's image, obviously. Now, I paid 600 baht, which supposedly the right price was 600, 700, maybe as high as 900 for me to get from the airport to where I was in near Bangla, in Patong. And so I didn't have any problems there. And you know, that's a what if kind of thing. People who do their research don't say, I'm going to go there and I just want to tootle around everywhere. People that do their research understand, okay, how am I going to get around? Taxis. I hope I don't have any problems with the taxis. No, smarter people who have money are going to say, let me get a driver for the day or something like that. Let me rent a van for my family. But the perception that Thailand has now, even with this, with the problem with the vaccinations and everything like that, I think the perception of the world that is watching, the travelers, many of them are going, many are going, I don't ever want to go back. I don't need to go to Thailand. I've been there, done that. Some people are saying, I'm going to wait. And some people, a few, are saying, oh, I'm going to come over. I'm going to come over. I'll go. I don't care. I just want to get back. I got to have my girl. Or girls. In Phuket, you do not need to rent a car. That's rubbish. Grab is not so expensive. Taxis are not so expensive unless you're getting ripped off. And I didn't get ripped off at all. In fact, I was surprised. Pleasantly surprised. So, it's not necessary, but many people who are like I'm talking about some guy who's got his kids with him. He wants to go and have a good time. He doesn't want to have to worry about dealing with some taxi driver who's rude and obnoxious and is like, you know, no, not 500 baht. You give me 2,000. And the guy's like, what? You know, so that's a tourist, though. The people who live there, they don't usually go through these kind of problems. They don't have them, and they get around it. They learn how to get around it, whether they buy a car, buy a motorcycle. They work with the people in their area, and they know, hey, these are my prices, and this is what I'm paying, and I'm not going to get gouged. But I think that the people who really want to be treated well and not be treated like shit, and I'm not saying that Thai people treat foreigners like shit, although every once in a while it happens, but for the most part, Thai people are just good, hardworking people who are friendly, and I've been in several situations throughout the time that I've lived here where they've been extremely helpful and kind. They didn't have to. They've gone out of their way to help me, which is great. It's the government that is a turnoff. And the police, generally are, at least they're not violent, or they're not grabbing people and throwing them around, unless maybe you're a protester. The other thing is that what you have to remember is that this is not only directed at foreigners. It's not always directed at the foreign expat. It's directed at locals as well. So this place is changing. Now, the one caveat I would say is maybe when there's new leadership, things will change. Maybe. Good morning, everybody. Sawadee Kap. Sawadee. Maybe this will change. However, we've been saying for months things were going to shit here. Every single Thai person that I have talked to is unhappy with the government. Every single one. And I'm talking about 50 people. None of them are happy. They're all irritated, pissed off, frustrated, tired, worn out, worried. So, I don't mean to be pessimistic at all, but I think you have to look at it realistically. And right now, Thailand's in the shitter. And somebody who has a fair amount of money, I'm not talking about some guy who has a couple $1,000, $2,000 a month, I'm not talking about some guy like me, okay? $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month. Now, when you get $4,000 a month, if you're single, that's, I'm talking about a guy who can pick out a place where he wants to live. If he wants to live in Chile, if he wants to live in some other place, he wants to go live in Hungary or something like that, he can easily do it. The only people who really need Thailand are the people who are seeking a value for very little money. And that's why you always would see these things. Get by in Thailand. You can live in Thailand for $500 a month. You can live here for $1,000 a month. Now that number has gone up. And I just stumbled onto a video the other day where this guy is talking about how much it costs, per day to eat and to get around and to do things. Somebody who's saying, I'm going to figure out how much it costs me every day, and they're only staying here for, say, 2 or 3 months. That's not living here. That's visiting. That's all it is. And the prices and the mentality is different when you are an expat versus when you are a tourist, whether it be a short-term tourist or you are, and I'm talking about like a week or two, or you're somebody who is a little bit longer, like 2 or 3 months. One vlogger said this is a good time to retire in Thailand because there are deals to be had in rentals. Well, a rental's not going to cut it, because what will happen is they'll raise the prices if things start getting good. But okay, yeah, that's the couple of things that are constant here are that accommodation and food is generally inexpensive. So that is a positive. However, what you get is, compared to some other places, is limited. And let me see here. There was something I was going to talk about here, if I can find it. Now, I don't know if you all know, but Thailand, the Thai government has said that in the near future, they are going to further lock down this place. And if things don't get better, they are going to lock down a la Wuhan. It's going to be a Wuhan-style lockdown. Now, that doesn't sound good. And one of the things they said was, no, there will not be Grab deliveries. The government will have to deliver food and water to the people. And yet then they don't understand why people are hoarding. Because when you say something like that, it makes people fearful. Let me see here. No, that's not the one. That's not it either. All right, let me think what I was doing here. No tourist crowds to tend with. Okay. To me, Gennaro, that's a short-term solution and a short-term way of thinking. Of course, they're going to favor Chinese tourists versus many other nationalities. Chinese are the number one tour group here, or they were. This is what I think a lot of people don't realize, is that this is not Thailand like it used to be, like your vision of Thailand. It's not. And you know how I know? Because I freaking live here and I've seen the change from before to now. That's the thing. I've seen it change. It has changed. The mentality has changed. So, this 10-year visa that they came out with, It's for millionaires, billionaires. It's for the filthy rich, okay? And it allows people to buy land. Now, if you were someone who had a fair amount of money, I mean, you know, like you're sitting on 20 million. Your net worth is like $20 million, $10 million. Do you want to spend $500,000 because you get to stay for 10 years here? I don't know. I don't see it. I think there are other places. If you got that much money, okay, you can stay in 4 or 5 different places. Now, I know, Andrew, that you always love the land of smiles and Thai people. I'm not saying I don't love Thai people and I don't love the land of smiles, but I dare say I've got a lot more experience here than you. And I've seen the ups and downs, and I've seen the changes in mentality, not only of the government, but also of the people. We're not living in a time where you go to a tourist area and, granted, most people in the tourist industry tend to be very nice. And however, if you think they are the same as they used to be when tourists first started coming in mass to Thailand, they're not. They're nowhere near that. And many times they are jaded. They're jaded just like I'm jaded. I'm faced with the realities every single day from Thailand. Now, one thing that happened just, I guess, this morning or last night, 3 people out somewhere around Suan Luam, something like that, just died. You know why? They couldn't get beds. Couldn't get beds. They had the COVID. They're walking around trying to get in somewhere, and they're on the streets, and they can't get in somewhere, and they end up dying. Now, I don't know all the specifics. It was just on the Thai news a couple hours ago, and I haven't been able to find it in the English news, and I haven't had a chance to translate everything from the Thai news. I think you mean Bamrungad. Agreed. $10,000 LASIK surgery. Actually, I think that LASIK surgery is around $2,500. You know, it's about $2,500 here in Thailand, because I checked, and this is a few years ago. A few years ago, it was about $2,000 to $2,500. This is another thing. Thailand has a reputation. Their reputation has grown that they will cheat you. And not all people, and you know, not the majority even. There are many people that I go and I think I have to pay a certain amount, and I overpay and I get my money back, and I go, oh, thank you. There are times when, you know, I'm in a taxi and I've dropped money out of my pocket, I'm getting out, and I almost am closing the door, and the driver's, oh, your money. So, on the whole, Thai people are very honest, but when it comes to foreigners, it's an opportunity. They are an opportunity. So, you know, I think there are other places, well, where you will be treated better, and you will have minimal hassle, and you will have maximum enjoyment. Perhaps that's better than fun. Also, if you want to talk about fun, there is some doubt as to how the nightlife industry is going to rebound here. Is it ever going to be the same? Are all the go-go's going to get back to normal? Are the beer bars going to get back to normal? Are all the girls going to come back and start working? Is your favorite girl going to be working down, you know, at the, what's the name of that place? Big Dogs or whatever. You know, you're going to have some, it's not going to be the same. I don't think it's going to be the same. Yes, really changed from the 80s, whereas Asian countries were poor. Now it's China's sphere of influence along with the Tiger Nation. Western countries are no longer as important. Well, that's another thing. The reputation is that in the tourist industry, the people are greedy. And, you know, listen, it's the perception. whether it's true or not is not for me to say, really, although I believe there is some merit to it. But they did it themselves. Greed doesn't go over well, and in my opinion, part of the reason the government is in this predicament, it has to do with greed. That's my assumption. That is my opinion, and I don't want to change that. I believe that. And there are things that obviously I can say in private that I can't say online, but you can take it for what it's worth, that I think that a lot of people who have been here more than once, and listen, you could still love the place. And you got to remember, my kids have grown up here. I've seen how their teachers treated them, which is fantastically. I've seen how other people have treated them. I've seen how they've interacted and learned and grown here. I've seen many things here. And I love Thailand. I love the people. I love how they are. And that can never be taken away from me. But I think that sometimes you have to face reality, which is what I've been saying for quite some time. And a lot of people, they just refuse to understand that just because you are critical of a particular aspect of a culture and a country does not mean that you hate the country. It does not mean you need to leave. Although maybe at some point leaving is the answer. Depends on how bad it is for people. For me, it's not that bad because I'm older. I'm a little more set in my ways. I have my routines. I don't, where is there a place that is like Pattaya 30 years ago? Nowhere. Times change. Things are different. Pattaya is Pattaya. It's simple as that. And it's never going to be like it used to be. I've seen good and also bad, just like any other country. So people don't understand that it's an individual choice to stay or go. Exactly. I mean, I think to myself, where am I going to go? Where would I go? And I just think and think and think and think and think. And there are a few places I come up with, which I really don't need to get into right now. But there are places that I could come up with. And I think a lot of people that follow the channel, they know these places. And there are some other places that might surprise some people. But there are other places. It's a matter of, at my age, starting over. And also, if it was just me, that's a different story. If you're a single person, you're on your own. Somebody like Longhorns. Somebody like Longhorns can go wherever he wants. He doesn't have any responsibilities other than his dog or dogs. That's it. And even that's a responsibility. But when you have a family, for me, it's a bit different. There's a lot of other considerations. Considerations, I think, I dare say that many people will never, that are single, will not understand. Or they may understand, but they will never really think about them. And so it's not quite so simple. And Carlos is a perfect example. He's in Pattaya. He loves Thailand. Got a family and everything. But just picking up and splitting, at least temporarily, is a little bit easier. Although costly, if you want to get back into Thailand now. But to just split and set up somewhere else, it's costly. Not only that, there's a learning curve. If you're not familiar with other places, there's usually a language barrier that you're going to have to get through, a cultural barrier that you're going to have to go through. There's a lot of things to take into consideration. Are you going to be able to work if you're younger? Hey, can I work over there? I was planning on retiring in Thailand at the end of 2023. Well, you know what my suggestion to you, Gennaro, would be? The first suggestion is 2023 is a good time frame. But come up with a plan B. Come up with a plan B and come up with a plan C. And then see where we're at in another year, year and a half. Cambodia 1995 to 2001 was best, better than Thailand. Only in Bangkok flew up. I don't know that I would call it the best. It wasn't developed back then. It wasn't very developed. Like, it's getting more developed now. It's much different now. It was, I would say, well, I can't say it was a better value for the money, but, you know, and it's pegged to the dollar. But for a reasonable amount, you could live in Cambodia. You know, I know guys who were living there back in 95, 2000. They were living there for $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month, and they had, you know, they were living in a gated community, and you know, they always had money. But prices have gone up, just like anywhere. Well, I don't know about Kampot. Phnom Penh, I mean, I would consider it really, I would consider somewhere on the beach, you know, somewhere like Sihanoukville or something like that. I would look around and go up and down and see where you could find. But, you know, I don't know, you know, it all depends on your budget. That's the other thing. If you got plenty of money, then you can go, you don't need to come to Asia. And if you're going to come to Asia, why not go to Malaysia? Why not give it a try? There are some beaches in Malaysia that are every bit as beautiful as some of the ones in Thailand. And I thought I would never say that, but then the more I started thinking about it and researching it, which I've been doing the last couple of days, the more I realized that the coastal areas or near the coastal areas are not the same as, say, Kuala Lumpur, which is really, you know, my extent of travel to. I've been to Battambang. Didn't we go to Battambang, Longhorns? I think we did. I think we went to Battambang. Yeah, but you know what? That's not true, Andrew. Malaysia has zero partying. You just need to know where to party. That's like saying Indonesia doesn't have any partying. Of course it does. I know because I've been to both places. Now in Malaysia, I didn't have time to go and party, but in Indonesia, I did. And you know, Indonesia is a predominantly Muslim country. You would think there's no place to party, but there's plenty of places to party, especially in Bali. Yeah, it was fine. It was very hard to find air conditioning in Battambang. Every restaurant that we went to, excuse me, every restaurant we went to, there were no air conditioners. Didn't we find one at the pizza joint? There was some pizza joint, I think, and we found one. Or maybe that was there was a coffee shop that had one. The pizza joint just had fans, I think. So, you know, the thing that you have to remember is if you travel to these places and they tick all your boxes, then you maybe need to give it some more consideration. Yeah, what was the name? Gloria Jeans. That's what it was. I would not recommend Myanmar, Gennaro. I gave it some consideration, quite some time, and it is, and I mean consideration as in what if I was to live there. And I came up with the same thing all the time, which was it's not developed enough. Even in the city, it's not developed enough. Short term, and I mean short term like a month or two, okay. But long term, like as in forever, no. And that can change. These things can always change. And yes, that's another thing is that if you go and you think you're going to go live in Laos and you're going to have all the niceties and the amenities that you get in Thailand, it's not going to happen. If it does, it's going to be much more difficult and probably costlier. So there's a lot to think about. But the point is that Thailand, the Thailand that we know and love, it's not the same. It's not the same, and I don't ever think it's going to be the same again. I'm sorry to say that. And even my wife, who is Thai, she's like, she just shakes her head. She's like, the people in the government are delusional. Now, that's not the word she used. There was another word she used, which is a bit more harsh. I'm not going to say what it is. Now, on a positive note, another positive note, the dollar, it's 32.84 to the dollar right now, which is pretty good. We're closing in on 33. Dark Brother, is Thailand a de facto dictatorship? I can't remember when the last election. Well, I don't remember exactly when the election was, but there's an election coming up, I believe, in 2023. I have read from some political analysts that they don't think that Prayut is going to make it to the next election. Now, who knows if that's true or not? But do I think it is? I'm going to have to lean towards yes. I have also heard good things about Mauritius. But right now, 32.84 to the dollar. The air quality index, maybe people are listening, they're not out driving around right now. 15 on the air quality index, which is fantastic. The temperature is only 84 degrees, which is quite cool here. Feel like temperature is 93, high of 86, so that's fairly cool for here. Low of 79, 20% chance of rain, 76% humidity, so it is quite humid. Winds south-southwest, 11 miles an hour, and visibility is 6 miles, which is normal. So, Mauritius is one of those places. There are numerous places, and I'm going to go over some of these places, and I'm going to go over some other things in the upcoming videos. If you're not subscribed, please remember to subscribe. You don't have to click the little notification bell, because you know what? I don't particularly like getting email after email. If I was to get a notification bell from everybody who I subscribe to, not that YouTube is so great about always sending out the notifications, it would drive me crazy. So I understand, but please do me a favor and subscribe and click the like button. Now, I have a new shirt out, and because of the way that I'm streaming right now, which is on my phone, I do not have, and by the way, Dark Brother, Choke D to you, thank you. I can't show any photos or anything that I really wanted to show because I'm streaming through my phone. I'm looking at my computer. I don't trust the internet right now. For some reason, they had made some modifications to the internet in our village, and it hasn't been too stable lately. But I just have a new shirt out. Farang Lives Matter. And I got a little bit of shit from some people. And I think that these people basically, they're thinking of Black Lives Matter. And they're like, oh, but what about the black people? Listen, it's not meant as a slight against anybody. Seriously. I like all people, as long as they're decent to me and they're not douchebags. I like people. I don't always want to be around them because I like being alone. But Farang lives do matter, and so do Thai lives. And I'm going to have a shirt made up that says Thai lives matter. But if you go to, I believe it's pinned up at the top. You can use the code FLM, and you get 20% off. So the shirts run about $20, and I think the shipping is like $4 inside of the United States, and it goes down if you buy more than one shirt. I also have coffee mugs that say the same thing, so great. We were stuck in the U.S. for a year and a half, and since our return, my wife says every day that Thailand has changed. Yes. Grenada. I don't know about that. Scott, are you stocked up with food, water, medical supplies for the lockdown? Been told our extended family in Bangkok has been stocking up. We are stocking up. I figure we only have about enough for about 3 weeks, but I'm looking at it very, critically and saying, these two pieces of chicken is only one meal. Well, really, it might be two meals. Two big pieces of chicken. If you want to throw it in some fried rice, something like that, it can. We can stretch things out. But we are stocking up in the next couple of days. We are stocking up, and we bought some water a while back. We paid about $60, and we got enough water to last us almost 6 months. Drinking water for a family of 4. So that was pretty good. This is something, we have a big water tank, so in the back, and if we want, we can boil that water and drink it. We can use it for the toilet, that kind of thing. And as far as the food goes, we got mama noodles. We're gonna get more mama noodles, more rice. You throw some meat in the freezer. We got two refrigerators, so we got 2 freezers. So I think we're going to be okay. By the end of this weekend, we should be well stocked up. How do I know? Maybe because Thai men, they like vagina. They just want to have sex. And so they see a good-looking woman that is exotic and doesn't look like the women back home, and they go, wow, look at her. Oh, she's so sweet, and she's so gentle. She's so quiet, and oh, she's nothing like the girls back home. But actually she is. You just don't know. She might be exactly like women back home. Now, fortunately, that's not the case for me. But, they have their quirks, and you have to get used to them. Simple as that. And the thing is if the guys come to Thailand for women, and they are only coming as tourists, and they are just looking to hit the bars and go out and grab women, as opposed to like coming here, staying here, then meeting a couple of girls and starting to date and get involved with them, then they're paying. And so there's a big difference. A lot of women, I don't know, I know there are women that will pay for it with a guy, but I don't know that this is the place for that. Listen, I don't even think about that stuff because, people want to screw. It's the bottom line. People want to screw everywhere. I don't worry about it, there are a lot of Western women that you just don't know about it, Maybe they like Thai men just like foreign men, Western men like Thai women, and I'll tell you what, the more you get to know Thai women, the more you love them, and the more you realize that they have their quirks as well as just like Western women do. They have their issues. They have all these kind of things, and you got to get used to it. And I dare say, thank you very much, Gennaro. Choke D to you, Choke D. I dare say that if you really want to hook up with a Thai woman, I'm not talking about some hoe. Anybody can hook up with a hoe. Have enough money and you're in, right? I'm talking about you want to meet one, you want to go out with them, you want to hang out with them, you want to get close to them, and of course you want to have, relations. Generally, that's going to take some time. It's going to take a little time. And I can tell you, and I've said this many times before, Yakdunanan, which means I want to know them, I want to watch for a long time, I want to see them for a long time. I want to watch them for a long time. They want to know how you are. You might be all sweet when you're trying to get into their pants, but then later on, um, you're not so sweet, right? You might not be everything you're cracked up to be. You might be lying about what you are and what you have to offer. They want to weed out the phonies and get to the guys that they really want to be with. I'm talking about the good Thai girls who are looking for some kind of relationship, whether it's just as a boyfriend or a special friend or as, if possible, husband in the future. Which, be careful about that. Not everybody is cut out to be married. And, I hear that more and more. And the Thai girls more and more are saying that they prefer to be single. And there are many Thai women that they would never even dream of being with a Westerner because the Western culture is so different to their own, and maybe their family won't accept it. That's not always the case, for sure. I mean, there are plenty of girls that I know that have good jobs, and I'm not talking about like they're working at Starbucks or something like that. I'm talking about truly good jobs where they're making, 80, 100,000, more than 100,000 a month, and they've got Western boyfriends. So it is possible, but you got to put the time in. You got to show them a little something. Where is your value to them? And are they even valuable to you? I'm not talking about, man, she was great last night. No, I'm talking about longer term. Is she a pain in the ass? Does she complain about everything? Is she, nasty to certain people? Because to certain, I know people who are I know some people, or knew some people, met some people, some Thais, who anytime there was any Burmese people around, they would be nasty to them. This is on the border. Now, maybe they know more than I do, but I just felt that they didn't need to be treating the people that way. And I found it was a bit shocking to me. But, it takes time to weed out the good ones. You got to put the time in, and they want you to put the time in as well. So I would be very careful about, just taking your time. And also, I've said this before, learn a little bit of the language. I'm sorry, when it comes to the women, especially if your girl doesn't speak much English, learn how to speak a little bit of a language, even if it's, just Sawati Kab Taurai, whatever. One thing I found interesting is that Thai women do not like Thai Chinese women. They don't even think Chinese women are Thai. I don't know where you come up with these generalizations, because I don't really find that to be true. The only girl I get to see every day now is the cleaning lady. She's looking better every day. I had to submit to an interview with the girlfriend's sister. Well, this is the other thing too, is that they have various ways of figuring you out, and you may not even know you're being interviewed, just in the course of conversation. So that's something to think about. And they do it to each other. It's not only, listen, if you come here, if you are married to a Thai woman, or if you have visited here many, many times and you have gotten to know the culture, if you live here currently or whatever, you generally figure out how the women are. It's like anything else, though. You see some hot chick back in the U.S. and you're like, oh man, I'd love to get me some of that. And then for whatever reason, you just happen to bump into her, and like an hour later, you're banging her. You were like, man, I never thought she would do that. And then it turns out she's a slut. She wants to sleep with every single guy she bumps into. I mean, whatever, to each his own. Maybe she just likes sex, And that happens in Thailand as well. Sometimes they're lonely. Sometimes they're lonely and they want to be around a friendly face in a nice apartment or nice hotel room or nice house, whatever, and it just happens. So you got to be careful about the generalizations, but most good women want good men, and they're not going to figure you out in the course of talking to them for, say, an hour. They're not going to decide, this is the guy for me, it's over. Tonight I'm spreading my legs. And he's an expat, isn't that wonderful? Oh, Sawadee Cup here. Sawadee. So anyway, plan B. It's always intelligent to have a plan B. And a plan C. And really a plan D. I mean, at least vaguely. You need to have some vague outline of how things would go down. There are numerous places that have decent medical care, but Thailand does have good medical care, although one of the issues as of the past few years is the difference in pricing. And I can tell you that Middle Easterners pay a different price than like a foreigner from, say, America or the UK. And people with black skin pay more than some, more than Thais or whatever. Japanese may pay more. They are allowed to do this now. Excuse me. So that's the thing about the health industry here. You got to kind of, you got to be a little bit careful and just, it's not like a rocket science. Just use your smarts. If it seems like, wow, how why is this so expensive? Well, I don't know how he's doing. He was here for a while, and he did say he was working on, I think he was working on coding or something like that. But he did tell me that he wasn't sure if he's going to be able to stay here because he needed to work, and he's back in the U.S. now. So, when he came on here, he did say he was back in the U.S. I love the Netherlands. And there was a time when I thought, man, I'd love to live here. I just love it was really the atmosphere that I loved. Now, I wouldn't live there. It's not one of my first choices. It would be farther down, if you're in the top, it would be in the top 20. I don't know if it'd be in the top 10. I mean, I just like the place. I like the feel when you go out. So, everybody, listen, Dark, what is it? Dark Brother? Is that what it is? Dark Brother. Hey, Doc Brother. What is it? Check it out now. Hey, Doc Brother, check it out now. I forget the name of that song. What is it? Check it out now. I can't remember my memory is not that good. I'm not planning on leaving unless things really, really, really get bad here. I mean, I can always just stay inside my house, which is what I'm doing pretty much now. And like I said the other day, going out, it's a bit of sensory overload if you're not going out all the time. And you're in the house and all you do is go to the mall, to the grocery, and then you start going around town, and it's a bit of a sensory overload, but that goes away fairly quickly. However, I still think it's important to have a plan B and a plan C. Yeah, I heard people are being kicked out of Vietnam. I heard what they're doing is they're just not renewing their visas. I don't think that getting residency is all that difficult. Like I said, you got to have money. This is the bottom line. Money talks nowadays. Ugh. I really have to think about that, and I want to do a video about it. But if I'm just going to do it off the top of my head, I got to say Ecuador. Although I think Ecuador it's kind of like Thailand, where it's starting to get saturated with people, and it might be a little bit done to death. Surprisingly, I've been thinking more about Mexico and how Mexico is a little easier, and it's a big place, and it's not what the perception really is of Mexico. But I really would really have to think about this now. But Portugal was another, but I think now that is also going by the wayside. I'm starting to think more about places like that are in Europe. Longhorns actually recommended Albania. I had heard great things about Armenia, Latvia, Georgia. So I have to really take this. I have to reconsider everything. Uruguay at one time. I'm not sure about now. But that's definitely. I would say that's definitely in the top 20. I don't know. I really have to look at this again because I haven't thought about it for quite some time. Now we have to get takeaway from any restaurant right now. So, oh yeah, Mexico is so dangerous now. That's just rubbish. Depends on where you go. It depends on where you go. I've been to Mexico many, many times when it used to be, oh, watch out for the federales. That's what you heard from everybody, and I never had a problem. Armenia, okay. I've been to Borneo. I haven't been to Sarawak. And I'm not even considering the United States. In fact, I'd like to completely exonerate myself from the United States. I thought about Portugal. Like I said, I'm not so sure about that. Um, as much as I would not live in Colombia. I don't think I have enough money to live in Colombia, to live the way that I would want to live there. Um, I've been to Medellin, and it's a beautiful place, and the people were great. But I had a good time, and the food was good there. Um, I definitely wouldn't live in Scottsdale, Arizona. I can tell you that right now, and I wouldn't live in Cebu. Um, there's some nice places in Cebu. I've been there many times, and I wouldn't live there. And Thailand keeps calling me. I think, Gennaro, that you need to come back for a little trip before you decide. And the reason is because your memory is of the old Thailand, the Thailand that you visited before. Your memory of Thailand, of what you see in videos. Your experience on the ground is probably going to be different. And so I would say come here and come for a month. Come for a couple of weeks at least. Yeah, 8 years ago, this place was much different. It's changed from then. If you're just like picking up and you don't have many things and you're going to come over here with like one bag and a laptop or something, and you're like, okay, well, I got plenty of money, and okay, then you can always leave if you don't like it. But if you're planning on shipping over stuff in a container and all these kind of things that a lot of people do, I wouldn't recommend that, at least until you have a visit. The spirit of the land of smiles will always live on. Well, you can't take away what it has been, and you can't take away that it is a very good place to live for some people. It's about the right fit. It's about having the right fit financially. What's the the vibe has to fit what you like, and that's why I'm here. I've been here like that, been here for years because I really loved the vibe in the beginning. And I love that I could go many other places in Southeast Asia very quickly and explore Southeast Asia. And I have done that. I still want to do it. And there are some things I'm working on now that, hopefully whenever we get through all this, things at least elsewhere get back to normal. And it's... I'll be set up to come back into Thailand fairly easily. He's still going to have to jump through some hoops for a while. But. And again, even Andrew, I would say even you've been out of the country for a couple of years. You might be surprised at some of the changes and some of the... In 2 years, and since the COVID, I wouldn't say that it's changed necessarily... I don't know, it's changed, but I don't know that you would be able to notice it aside from all the COVID restrictions, which that's a lot, but still. Thailand is good for cashed up single guys to retire with a family or not much cash. It's probably not great. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're really, honestly, my wife and I are pretty fortunate, and we've done fairly well. I'm not a millionaire, and I don't have $500,000 sitting in the bank or anything like that, but we're comfortable, and my kids, have always had a very comfortable life. So, no Florida Keys. I love the Keys, but I think it's a case of living there would be expensive. I remember many years ago, my father had an apartment there. It was like $1,000 a month for just a tiny little place. Now, it was on the water, but still, it's an expensive place to live. And you're still in the United States, which puts you at the mercy of the United States government, which I would love to part ways with the United States government, if at all possible. But I'm not sure if I'd want to give up my passport unless I had another passport. I remember Thailand in 2003. Well, it's vastly different. And Fred, when you first started coming over here, Thailand had started to change, but it wasn't nearly as bad as it is now. Now it's like you're living in China's little brother's country. That's the way I look at it. I mean, but then again, I could say the same thing about the United States. So. But I was getting to this. Let me read this here. 7% rise in GDP alone on the expenses of 1 million well-heeled foreigners living in Thailand. In March, Mr. Chayotid highlighted the potential economic growth for Thailand if 1 million visitors could be attracted to live in the kingdom. He predicted a 7% rise in the GDP alone based on their day-to-day living expenses in the country. And it's smart to think that way. However, I don't think you're going to get 1 million people who are millionaires. There we go. And we're back. Spent 6 months in Asia, and then Thailand stood out then and still stands out. Whole of Asia has changed, yes. If you don't have $500,000 in the bank, it's too expensive to live anywhere in the United States. The rents and medical insurance will break your bank account fast. Well, I'll tell you what. When my wife and I and the kids went to back to Florida a couple years ago, I had $50 in my pocket, and I said, let's go to Burger King. Now I'm thinking, maybe you spend $30, $35. I spent damn near every penny, and we ended up going to, I think one of us, the kids got one slice of pizza from Sbarro. And then I got some Burger King, and my wife had a little bit. $50. I'm like, $50? Here you can go and you're gonna pay $25. All right, for 4 people, if that. Maybe you pay 20. Now, I don't need to go to Burger King all the time, but it was just I just was surprised, and this is years ago. So I'm sure it's gone up since then. Now let me go on here with this. 4 separate groups targeted by the new plan to attract the kind of people to come and live in Thailand. Listen, I don't think Thailand has the luxury of deciding who they want to come to their country. They need foreigners to come in who just are going to spend money. That's what they need. They don't need to what they want is wealthy, high net worth individuals, wealthy or high earning professionals, wealthy retirees, and executives, or people with highly developed skill sets who have the potential to offer industry and universities in Thailand a competitive edge as it takes to move towards becoming an advanced economy. Now, this is what I'm going to say. Here you see, Thailand wants these people because they have a lot to offer to Thailand. What are they offering to these people? A 10-year visa? Oh, I get to live in Thailand. Well, that's great. I mean, it is. There's a lot of people that want to live in Thailand. Some people will bite. But on the whole, in this day and age, I don't think that's enough. You want high people that, listen, if Tina Turner, the singer, lives in Switzerland. Now, she's a high net individual, right? Net worth individual. She got money. She got big dough. She don't want to live in Thailand. Now, who was it? Belinda Carlisle of the Go-Go's lives in Thailand. I'd like to know. In fact, I should search her information and see if she still is living here right now with everything going on and how she feels about it. Well, it says that she's in Hollywood. But apparently she has a house here. Now, my guess is she probably has a house in other locations in the world. She doesn't have a whole lot. Let me see here. It doesn't look like she's got a lot of tweets. 5 tweets? No. Here we go. Well, this is the thing. Thailand is like, oh, well, we are targeting the 4 groups that we most want to come to Thailand. You know, they're like, let's see, we will have the wealthy. We'll have the high net worth individuals. We'll have the wealthy or high earning professionals. Or we'll have the wealthy retirees and executives or people with a highly developed skill set. And for that, they get what? The criteria for the first group is that each qualifying person must have be able to demonstrate $1 million in assets, which really is not all that much if you think about it. $1 million, because some guys, you know, they might have bought a house for $250K back, 20 years ago, and now that house is worth $600,000, $700,000. So what they have saved and everything like that, They also have to demonstrate an income over the last 2 years of $80,000. That's nothing. And will be willing to invest $500,000 in Thailand, either through a property or government bond. I don't know that smart people want to do that. I don't consider myself one of those smart people because I don't have that kind of money. But if I did, I wouldn't come here. I wonder if Thailand realizes that they are turning off the millions with this constant talk of wanting to attract high net people. It's insulting and tells you all you need to know. Exactly. It's very insulting. So basically, a guy like me who has spent, I don't know, let's see, maybe $1 million baht a year, just me, not including my wife. And contrary to what some people think, I have some influence on how my wife spends money. If I spent $1 million baht a year for 26 years, that's 26 million baht. That's a lot of money. I don't care how you slice it. It's a fair amount of money. It's a chunk of change. You don't want my money? So my money's not any good because I can't come with a big, huge chunk and throw it around in Thailand. I think it just shows, to me, it shows short-sightedness, and it is insulting. But it's, in Thailand, people just come up, oh, how much do you make every month? And to them, that's perfectly okay. To many Westerners, it's insulting. Well, my wife always told me, when you are meeting new people in Thailand for the first time, don't say too much. You know why? Because they think you are this foreigner who has lived in Thailand. Oh, you must live in a great big house and you must have this big money. That's their perception. You must be rich. That's what a lot of them think. So don't ruin that perception by opening your mouth and starting to go, no, listen, come on. What do you think rich is? You think a rich person is making, $1 million baht a month? I wish I made $1 million baht a month, but I don't. It's not just insulting, but it is hostile. Even if I have the money, I don't want to live with people who just want me for my money. And that's the other thing they don't understand. And here's the, the big thing is, what are you getting? You get to live in their country? How about you go somewhere else where they want your money, they work with you, they have a positive attitude towards you, and you are part of it. They really value you being there. They understand that you are valued because you are bringing something of value. So they need to value you. Now, I've been watching this channel lately, Nomad Capitalist. I didn't used to like the guy all that much, just because I just kind of felt, I don't know, that he was a little bit out of touch. Now I don't think so. And one thing that he always espouses is go where they treat you best. Now, I don't always believe that you got to go where they treat you best, but I think you need to go where they treat you well and where the country that you are in fits the best. So you go where is the best fit for you and where they treat you well. Not only where they treat you well, you got to be you have to. It has to be a good fit for you. If it's not a good fit for you, there are people I know that. I'll give you a perfect example. I don't think badly of the Philippines. I think that Thailand is a better place for expats, in my opinion. I know there are some fantastic things about the Philippines. There's some beautiful beaches. The people can be very, very nice. But for me, this place is a better fit. I'm not insulted by the government. I know they're idiots and hurting themselves, and after a few handsome man calls, I feel great again. Future travel post-COVID will change. The travel, I believe, will be more selective. Yes, especially if prices go up. Everybody's talking about how low the prices are now for hotel rooms and stuff. And one of the videos I'm going to be doing is a counter to the video I put up yesterday about Phuket, about this lady who's talking about how much everything costs, because there are two people that wrote me that have talked about how little it costs them to get into Phuket. So I'm going to talk about that as well. But hello, wealthy man, please come inside. Best option, 6 months in Thailand and another country to spend the summer. I don't even know if 6 months is good. You know why? I think 2 months. I'll be honest. I think, you come for 2 months. You come and you're allowed to stay. You get a tourist visa if you can, or you come in on a no visa entry, and you extend it. And I'm talking about after the COVID. You stay for a couple of months, and you go, all right, I'm out of here. You go somewhere else, and you stay there for 6 months, and then you decide, do I want to go back to Thailand? Do I want to go somewhere else? In a perfect world, I would live in 3 different locations. I'd live somewhere that was cold for a few months. I'd live in Thailand for a few months, and then I'd live somewhere else the bulk of my time. Yeah, that's another thing. And I wish Steve was here, Steve K. But wealthy individuals do not look to come to Thailand to piss away money. They want to make an investment where they're going to see an ROI. Hey, I'm not going to put my money into the system unless I'm making a chunk of change. And, I don't know, what does Thailand have to offer? That's the thing. Everything that they talk about is what you're offering them. Now, when you come to Phuket, guess what? Domestic flights? No domestic flights. Right? You're stuck on Phuket. And if one person in your party has the COVID, you're stuck. Your holiday is over for 14 days at least, and you're going to pay. I don't know. One of the places that he talked about, which I know somebody from here, and I know that he's there now, and that it seems like a very nice place, is Serbia, believe it or not. Pad Thai and whores, LOL. Well, you know what I've heard many people say is that if it wasn't for the women in Thailand, a lot of people are not going to come here. They might come for the beaches and to go, zip lining out in the Chiang Mai jungle somewhere. But the majority of people aren't going to come. You know, guys want to hook up. They want to hook up and have fun. They want to party. And some guys come over because they want to retire, meet somebody who is their companion, and then hook up long term. I don't really believe that people are going to be coming over here just to see temples. I wouldn't fly 11,000 miles to go see. I don't care how good the temple is. I wouldn't. I'd have to be some sociologist that is studying temples around the world or something for me to come specifically for one particular temple or for a few temples. Summer in New York and winter in Nong Khai, but my son is in school, so it's got to be one or the other. Eastern, yes. Eastern EU, yes. Definitely. And, I'm not really all that big on, I haven't been all that big on Europe because I haven't been there in a while. And I just haven't really thought of it. I was more like maybe South America or the Caribbean. But, it takes I'd have to take a really close look. And it'll take me a while to make something up. Because I don't want to just use one resource for my information. I want to use a host of resources. And I do have a video coming up. I don't know if it's tomorrow or when it is, but it's about 5 places that you can retire for like $1,500 a month on the beach. And you might be surprised. Is Germany so expensive? I think Germany is expensive. So, the point of this, he has a place in Malaysia. I think he has a place in Serbia. I think he has a place in St. Lucia. I can't remember where else. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about that, and I think my mother has been to Croatia. I'm not sure. I have to ask her the next time I talk to her. But bottom line is this: there are other places out there. I mean, we're spouting off all these places. Georgia also. That's right. Yeah, to Sibley. We're spouting off all these names of places. Obviously, there are other places. It's a matter of, do you have the money? And is it the right fit? And are you treated well? Does it fit your budget? Does it fit you as a person? Listen, Thailand fits me as a person. I like the whole peacefulness generally. Nobody messes with you. They leave you alone. They give you a smile. I don't care if it's superficial or not. I like that. Just leave me the fuck alone. I don't want to be bothered and pestered and that happens in some places, which I don't really like. Like after a while, I'm like, fuck, get out of my space, man. I don't like that. I could never live in India. Unless I had my own private area, on the beach somewhere where nobody could come in. I had a compound or something, maybe. And even then, I don't think so. Thailand can get back to where it was. They just need to vaccinate. I don't think so, Pierre. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the damage has been done. I'll tell you why. There are a lot of people who are like, fuck Thailand. I don't like the attitude of their government. There's a lot of people that have messaged me and talked to me. They're like, I don't need Thailand. Thailand needs me. So I don't think it's going to ever get back to the way it used to be, the way it was. I think maybe it'll come close. You're still going to have people that want to come. You're still going to have those people, like Andrew. He's like, the spirit of Thailand will always live, and, rock and roll will never die, and all that kind of stuff. I know somebody who's been to the Ukraine, and they had nothing but great things to say. I know somebody else who's been to Latvia. He had nothing but great things to say. Ukraine is fairly inexpensive, and I believe the prices are comparable to Thailand. A big one is constant changing of the immigration rules for some high Some too high a risk to commit. It's too high a risk to commit to retire long term. That's a thing, if you want to come over here and you're the kind of guy you want to live like, you want to live as a minimalist. And you got a computer, you got your phone, you got some clothes, and you're living in a place, you're renting out a place, and you don't need any furniture, everything is provided for you, and you can pick up and split whenever you want. Okay, I can see it. I can see Thailand as a place. If you're somebody who wants to set up your life, I mean, listen, I'm set up here. We got 3 beds, we got, a sofa and a couple big chairs, we got furniture everywhere, dressers and tables and, kitchen appliances and all that kind of stuff. Am I willing to leave that behind? I would. Do I want to? No. I heard Spain is in the shitter. It's not a good place to move to now. That's what I've heard, and I also know somebody who is in touch with a fair number of Spanish people, and they don't like it. You think they can make up the Western tourists from lost tourists from China and Korea? Hard to say. From China, maybe eventually. Korea, I really don't know. Maybe India. Maybe Russia. I don't know. I just think that right now, for now, it's very hard to say. It is hard to predict. For all I know, this place is going to be booming, and it'll be even better in a year. I don't think so, though. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it's going to happen. And listen, if I really believed that this place would get back to normal and things would be great, I would say so. But I don't think so. And yeah, Danny, Thailand was in the box. Well, it was in the box as in it was already going this way. Because I'll tell you something, even though, I give shit to some of the people who are like, hey, listen, they want me to have a retirement visa, but, I don't want to have one, and I'm living here for a couple months, and then I want to go somewhere else for a couple months, and I want to come back and forth whenever I want, and they won't let me because I'm here too long, and all these other kind of things. Listen, the rules are the rules. However, there's something to be said for the people who, they want to travel around the world. They want to go. That's the other thing. What about the people who, I'm going to do a round the world trip. I'm going to buy a round the world ticket. How easy is that going to be now? Used to be for $1,500, $2,000, you can get a basic around the world ticket, and then you could fly from wherever you landed and go to a couple of different places, and then you go back to that one place and then take off again. It's much harder now, and then it's going to be much harder to get into places. You're going to need all kinds of things, and who knows, will this vaccine be taken? Will that vaccine be taken? How are you going to prove it? Is it electronic? Is it on your phone? I hope all of you stay away and convince everyone else to do the same. Makes Thailand better for me when I retire here. I wouldn't count on it. Maybe most travel destinations will never be the same post-COVID, and that's the bottom line. It's not only about Thailand. Everybody says that, but wait until you come here and you see for yourself living here, not staying for a month or 2 months. Wait until you're here for a couple of years, and then you see the downward trend, and you're going, what the fuck is happening here? I think, I'm trying to think, if I was single, where would I go? Would I leave here? I would still be hesitant to leave, but I'd probably go somewhere like Vietnam, Cambodia for a little while, and then maybe I'd go somewhere else in South America or somewhere in Europe. But the virus and everything that's going on makes everything difficult now. Everybody says Panama is great. Panama is great. I've been to Panama. Now, I didn't spend more than, what did I spend there? About a week? 6 days, something like that. It was okay. I didn't get the greatest vibe out of the place. I didn't feel like, wow, man, this place is awesome. I didn't get that feeling. I didn't get that feeling about Nicaragua either, or Guyana. I didn't get the feeling about that. Now, Colombia, I had a pretty good feeling about it, but I just thought, I don't know if I want to live here. I didn't like the whole being at the airport and, I got checked like 3 or 4 times for coke. Like they're checking your bags. They want to make sure you're not smuggling anything, which I understand. But this is what I mean. Eventually what happens is you want to go there and you want to have a relaxing, fun, enjoyable time, right? You're up here. You want this. You want the most amount of enjoyment. Preferably, you're willing to pay a little bit of money. But when it comes to paying the money and hassle, paying the money and hassle going here and the enjoyment level goes down, then things are different. Shit. The biggest problem that Thailand has, in my opinion, is the government, and that is spot on. They're their own worst enemy. Really. Panama's great, good medical system, and pretty girls from Colombia. Biggest problem that Thailand has, in my opinion, is government. There's Colombian Nagas. The east side of Panama was great, like Pattaya. For single men, Cologne was a wild city for single men. Yeah, I didn't get to spend all that much time, so it's hard for me to make a judgment about that. But I believe you. I would say the only thing, like when I was in Colombia, I have a friend, a Cuban guy, who is involved in boxing, and he had a place in Colombia, and he loved it. Now, he's Spanish. He doesn't have any problem getting around there. He speaks the language, and people, they related to him as a Colombian. As much as they can. And he had a great time. He told me, he said, I have a great time every time I live here. He's like, I got a girl here, and he had girls everywhere, this guy. EU government is really shitty. Yeah, well, there's always a downside to everything. So I think that's why it's really important. I think now, it's not about jumping on a plane. Hey, let's jump on a plane and go to Thailand, and maybe I'll live there. And, really, in a matter of about 2 months, I got some money together. I had come to Thailand, like 5 times. And I just went, I'm done. Give away, sell everything, throw it away, whatever. I got some dough. I'm out of here. You jump on a plane, I'm gone. I don't know, hey, what visa am I going to need? What am I going to do? How am I going to do things? I didn't even know I had no idea where I was going to live. I wasn't even thinking about an apartment because hotels were so cheap. Those days are gone, man. I mean, for the most part, they're gone. Unless you got a bundle of money. They're gone, man. It's not that easy. Everything takes planning, and now, you're going to need this test and that test, and you're going to have to show, documents. My sister-in-law is locked in the hotel room. I'm like, okay, you can hit the pool, right? Nope. They leave the food outside the door. Well, that's not as difficult as you think, because it's only for a finite period. And when you get out, you get to go do what you want to do. But it does suck. And unfortunately, this may be one of the stipulations of traveling in different countries. You may have to do this, even though the country is supposedly has herd immunity, even though you're wearing masks, people are socially distancing, people are washing their hands, even though you're completely vaccinated, you may still need to do that. I didn't even have a Lonely Planet book. There was no Lonely Planet that I know of. I didn't know about it. What I had was Let's Go Travel, was Let's Go Thailand. And I think they still have the Let's Go brand. Let me see. Yeah. It's old. Yeah, this is, let's see here. Let's Go Thailand, 4th edition. Well, that was 2008. Paperback book is now $475 used. I don't even know if they're still in business, to be honest. Well, let's see. They got their own little page on Amazon. So, but that was the big book back then. At least for me, I had not even. When did Lonely Planet come into existence? Let me see here. Jono, buenos dias. Okay, they were 1972. I don't think it was that early, though. They may have been very small at the time. When did they expand? Okay, they expanded and had India in 1981. All right, so they were around, but they probably weren't as, I didn't see them as much as I saw the Let's Go books. And the Let's Go book, it looks to me like those books are done now. They haven't been made since around 2007 to 2010. So that was my first guidebook, Let's Go Travel. I was just in Mexico. Yeah, aren't you the one? Didn't you write me and say that it was so easy to get into the country? Which is something that I'm going to bring up in the video I'm going to do. I'm going to make the video probably today, and I don't know if it's going to be up tomorrow or when it's going to be up, but it's telling of what's going on here, because honestly, I think unless you live here now, you've lived here before, you're married to a Thai, or you're already in motion to becoming an expat here, I think you need to look at other options. I mean, I think the Thailand that once was such a great place is now a decent place, but it's not necessarily the best place. And I don't know if it ever was the best place, but it was among the best places. I don't know if it is now. And I'll tell you what, if you look at some of these polls that they have, all these different reports, Thailand has been left out a lot more. I'll tell you something ahead of time. The video I'm putting up, 5 places where you can live off of $1,500 a month as a retiree on the beach. None of them are in Thailand, believe it or not. Well, the air quality in Bangkok today is fantastic, actually. So vaccinated travelers are restricted to certain areas now, Phuket, etc. Just when I went to Mexico, no problem. Yeah. Well, the whole country's in a pandemic. I mean, it's getting worse. They're talking about doing a Wuhan-style lockdown, which honestly, I think it could happen. I don't really think it's going to happen, but stranger things have happened. And Jono, Longhorns, myself, everybody else, Carlos, and stock up now. So you got a little bit of time. I would just start stocking up on some dry goods and water and stuff like that. Just because you never know, they could do it. Let's see here. Simple as a change of leadership or the government, or is the problem in time? I think it goes deeper, to be honest. I think it is the government, the leadership, but who knows what the next leader will be like. So I don't know. I'm anxious. I'd like to see what the next government has to offer. the country and its people, but also to foreigners, what kind of attitude they have towards foreigners. Because Thailand now has this, okay, you can come, but hey, we really have to, we have to be wary of the foreigner. And just like the letter I read the other day, the letter of the guy that was the manager, he's talking about, you got to be careful of these foreigners, and you don't know where they've been. Well, I don't know where you've been either. So it goes both ways. I'm stuck here, so to speak. To think I would relocate is not really an option. Well, Jono, who really, at our ages, and you're not all that much older than me, who really wants to have to relocate and start over again and do all that? You want to do it on your own terms. You don't want to do it because you kind of have to. Do you have a professional? I don't know. I don't care. I've long since stopped caring. It doesn't matter to me. Here in Bangkok. Yeah, I mean, but you got a good little gig going on, Jono, and I think if the country opens up a little, first of all, you can go home when you want to. Second of all, you can travel around Thailand a little bit easier, and I just mean you're vaccinated. Like, maybe you just show a little, you got a little QR code on your phone or something. You walk through the checkpoint. Here you go, buddy. Okay. And you want to go to Hua Hin, you want to go to Chiang Mai, wherever you want to go. It's easy. Once that happens, I think you're going to be fine. Now, if you hang around for another 20, 30 years, who knows what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? But better not relocate the pizza. Jono, a lot of people have been saying, why doesn't Jono open up a pizza joint? And I'm like, because he doesn't want to. It's a different story when you have to make pizza than when you want to make pizza. Just like anything else. I like to cook. I'm not a fantastic cook. I'm okay. But I only want to cook when I want to cook. The other day I had 4 pieces of chicken breasts. 4 chicken breasts. I pulled them out of the freezer. And as the evening came, I thought, man, I don't feel like cooking these. I stuck them back in the refrigerator. By morning, they were completely unfrozen, and I needed to cook them up, And I cooked them up the next day, and they were fantastic. But that night, I was like, man, I just don't feel like cooking. It's a different story. True that, Longhorns, keep the pizza. I never did put the photo of the pizza up. I'm going to put that up in the community tab. Actually, it's photos, but I don't know why. I don't think they let you put more than one photo up at a time in the community tab. Thought the Thai Senate had been stacked with military cronies, making it harder to change. Well, there are some people I have read, political commentators, who believe that Prayut will not make it to the election. However, because of the way things are set up, they also believe it's going to be very hard to get rid of them. And that's something ahead. One of the other things about Thailand and why you really need to consider if you want to be here or not is the political instability. And every couple of years, they have some kind of a coup. Now, generally, it doesn't matter to foreigners. But I think it's a trend that's been going on for many, many, many years. And people are pissed off at the government right now. I've actually been talking about going and photographing any protests, which I wouldn't have done in the past, and I'm actually thinking about doing it. I'm giving it some serious consideration again, because I think it's too important. That's one reason. Listen, Jono, I have to say that third pizza you made was heaven. You know, you started off and you're like a fighter. The first couple of rounds, you're a little bit rusty. You know, you can see you're trying to shake the ring rust off. By the second pizza, you'd hit the middle rounds and you're starting to get your stride. And by the third pizza, that was it. You're ready, and you're ready to go for the KO. Oh man, that pizza was really, really good. That second pizza, man. That third pizza was the best. I think that's the best pizza you've probably ever made that I've had. And I've had, I don't know how many pizzas of yours, 6, something like that. No, you're not wrong about the Thai government being in bed with China. Yeah, you know, one of the things that I plan on doing in the next couple of weeks is going through some of my footage from Hong Kong and trying to put up some stuff that was never online, I never put up, or just finding some old stuff and making some new videos from it or something. You see, I'm looking at this article about the 10-year visa again, and everything is about what Thailand needs. They never talk about, you know, they say pressing ahead with plans agreed by the cabinet in June to offer a long-term 10-year visa to elite foreigners who can bring both investment and valuable economic expertise to assist in the development of the Thai economy. Why wouldn't they just get a 10-year elite visa? They don't have to deal with any of the... They don't have to deal with the government then. They don't have to deal with all the red tape they'll go through doing business here. Now, you know, I'm not talking about... There are people out there who are... They're gung-ho. They're like, yeah, I want to see if I can make something out of it. There are going to be people like that. But on the whole, I think very few people are looking at this going, wow, I get a 10-year visa. All for putting, you know, millions into the system here. You should totally live stream the protest. I found you searching on Hong Kong. Well, I, even though I would like to, I don't know that it's the wisest move because I live here. It really depends. There's a few things I'm working on right now, but it depends if, you know. Not even the baby wipes. Lockdown sure shortage of toilet paper. Missed the butt gun. Listen, if you got it, you can use banana leaves if you got any there in Australia. Cuba seems to be a scary place at the moment. I'm not following it. Adelaide in lockdown because of 5 cases. 2 million people in lockdown for at least a week. The whole state, 13.5 million in lockdown. Yeah, that's just craziness, you know. But they don't live here too. What? Yeah, but I'm a foreigner. You know, there's a difference. I'm a foreigner here. And for me to live stream and shoot photos here, it's a little bit riskier than if I was, say, living in Hong Kong and I was over here photographing anything. They would probably arrest me and then deport me. So if they deported me from Hong Kong, I was like, okay, go ahead. You know, if they threw me in jail, people would find out, and it would be like, why are you throwing this guy in jail for taking photos? It's not like I've really done anything that could be construed as some kind of treasonous act or something like that. And the same goes for here. I would hope that there would be no problems here, and that's why it takes. I'm not always in the right mindset to think about all the risks that are involved and what it would mean. And I have to sit down and think it through, write everything out, and then determine, is it worth it? Both for myself and for financial reasons and all that kind of thing, you know. Stop calling people dirty. Calling foreigners dirty, and stop pricing. I understand. Stop, charging more for foreigners. I mean, this is the thing. The word is out, man. The word is out. People know. Oh, you got to be careful of them. They might double charge you, or they might charge you more. And for some people, they're like, oh, I'm okay with that. Yeah, okay, you're okay with that. You know what? As a tourist, that's fine. You want to pay double, you want to pay triple, fine. But as an expat, fuck you. I don't want to pay double and triple. I don't want to pay 100 baht for a piece of chicken that a Thai's paying 25 baht for. To me, that's just, ridiculous. Let's retire in Monaco. Yeah, you know what? Hang on a second. I got to plug this thing in. What's going on here? Shit. Hang on one second. I don't know what's going on here, but... What's an expat? It's short for expatriate. Hang on one second again. Gotta make sure that this phone is charging. I'm fully vaccinated, can't go more than 5 kilometers from my house, so getting the vaccine means nothing. No, because, if you got the virus, you can pass it on to everybody else. I used to get the Handsome Farang discount. That was a couple of times, maybe. Go look it up. Look it up in the dictionary, okay? Really. Come on. I haven't had the Handsome Man discount in many years. God damn it. What? Having some battery problems. Let's see if this works. Hang on. All right. There we go. Thank you, Sky Trooper. Listen, if I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to say it. Right, and now we'll leave to, well, Israel's. I paid 80 baht for a hut on a beach in Koh Chang 20 years ago. Ah, shit. Place was the last resort and didn't have. Yeah, I paid something like. My wife and I went to a place and it was like Koh Saboya. That was the name of it. Koh Saboya. And that place was 500 baht. It was a 2-story bungalow right on the beach, and there was like nobody around. The only people that were around were at a restaurant down the way, and that was where we got our food, and that's where we arranged to get back to the mainland and everything like that. It was fantastic, but let's see here. I get the jab to travel, but I'm in the same boat. They keep moving countries off and on the red list here in the UK. It's a joke. Yeah, and this is what's going to happen for a long time. Nobody said it's going to be. They don't want it to be easy to travel because they believe it's safer if they put all these restrictions in place. And what's going to happen? What I've said for a long time. What's going to happen when things get so bad that Air Asia is not flying in Thailand. My wife told me they can't even pay their employees for the last month. They can't meet payroll. She told me that some hotels are only paying their employees like a few days. They're only paying them for a few days even though they work for the entire month. And I said, well, are they going to pay them back what they owe them? No. Some people are working for free just to keep their job, so that the place can stay in business. It's not a good situation here. And this is the thing. Being on the ground here, you hear things, you see things, you talk to people, you know what's going on. You hear firsthand accounts of what's going on. When you watch the news, sometimes you're a little detached from it, Seems like you're more a citizen of Thailand than an expat. I don't know. Seems like you're. Yeah, I don't know. Becoming a citizen here is very difficult. Not as difficult as some. Well, there are a lot easier places to become a citizen. It just takes a small amount of money, a little bit of time. Here, it's a bit different. Yeah, AirAsia is, and listen, AirAsia has been, a big factor in people traveling here in Southeast Asia. So this is what I'm talking about. I mean, it's like you see, and my thing too is that, okay, now you see how the government has acted in times of trouble. Not to mention the United States government, which I'm going to do a video about that and how they're handling things with American citizens, which is just disgraceful. They'll give all kinds of vaccines to everybody else, but they won't give them to American citizens. We can't do it logistically. That's complete horseshit. So there's a lot of things going on that, I don't understand it. One girl I talked to said all of her girlfriends have left Bangkok and gone back to their hometowns. Yeah. I mean, hey, what do? They go back to family. What do you do in the long run when you're having this kind of a situation and maybe you're running low on dough, you're running out of money, you don't know what you're going to do, you don't have a place to stay? What do? You go back home. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Anyway, so, hopefully you get a little bit of the gist of what's happening. And I wish, there's all these reports coming out. It won't get better after 2022, 2026, and then, I don't know, but I can tell you that at least the U.S. government managed to get has managed to get people vaccinated who want to be vaccinated, and things have turned around a little bit. That's not the case here, and there are numerous reasons, some speculation, why the vaccination process hasn't been sped up here, but why not take a vacation to the U.S. for a jab, come back when things cool down in Thailand? All it takes is one infection and you could be dead, Scott. I've already been vaccinated once with the Sinovac. I'm going to get the other one in about a week. And then I'll get a booster when some of the other ones come in, the Pfizer, the Moderna. I'm not flying all the way over there, and I'm certainly not flying all the way over there with my family. That's 4 people, and that's a big hassle. That's a massive pain in the ass. I don't want to deal with that. Things will never get better. It's the end of the world. Well, I'm hesitant to say it's the end of the world. I think that things will never get back to the same here as they once were. And I use the word never. I take that with a grain of salt, because maybe things will get better. And it's all relative. If you don't know how good it was in the past, what does it matter? If it's decent for you, that's all that matters. But I would say that if you look at the way that the government takes care of things and how they deal with foreigners and their attitude towards foreigners and the way that this country has dealt with this situation, and the people are, pretty stoic about it, but the government, on the other hand, they've just, I think it's just been a clusterfuck. And taking all those things into consideration, I think there are better places to retire to. Unless things turn around in the next year or two dramatically, Why would you, if you got a fair amount of money? I'm not talking about you. Oh, I only got a pension. It's $1,200, and I've got $50,000 in the bank. I can still retire at a time. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about financial. The financial aspect is not something where you must retire here or retire in the Philippines or something like that. I'm talking about you got enough money where if you want to live somewhere else, you got a nice pension of $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month. You don't have to retire here. Go somewhere else. Go somewhere better. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, Sky Trooper, thank you. Choke D for you. What is this? I've been following the news. Oh, wait to the climate change BS to kick in if you want crazy. I've already been seeing about how the North Pole and everything there is going, and how it's opening up the waterways, and then how all these countries are going to be underwater by this time and everything. So I would say if you're really worried about that, get to higher ground as soon as possible. Don't live in a place where you're going to be flooded out. Here in Ireland, it's the young ones that are spreading it like wildfire. It was good in the 90s. After 9/11, that's when it all went downhill. Well, 9/11 definitely showed something. It showed what the government is capable of, the U.S. government. And, yeah, I'm almost at the point now. I used to say I will never, ever give up my U.S. passport. I'm extremely hesitant to say that I would now, but I'll tell you what, I'm moving in that direction. Let me get another one and forget about the United States. They can kiss my ass. And I'm really hesitant to say that, but the thought has crossed my mind, and it would have never crossed my mind years ago. So, interesting. Very interesting subject, to me at least, and hopefully to everybody else. We got about 2 minutes left, so it's about time to wrap it up. Floods in Germany, heat domes in Pacific Northwest, 100 degrees in Greenland. Don't forget about the fires in California. Yeah, that's the next one. I don't understand what's going on in the United States, and I don't even want to think about it. All it does is do my head in. I just sit here and just go, and then I'm like, why? I don't even want to think about this. I don't care. I just want to get away. I want to be in my own bubble where I don't have to deal with it. And I'm in my bubble right now, but I still have to deal with it. The bar girls will be older by the time they're back, and the girls who are younger, they know they're going to have other opportunities, and they're going to be like, I'm not going to go do that. Some may, but they're not all going to do that. It was so good in the late 90s, no AC apartment. Most of the time, you need that AC. However, I would say in the mid 80s to mid 90s, that was the best of times, and all the way up to about 2000. So anyway, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And we'll see what happens. So thank you very much. Don't forget to click thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Get yourself a t-shirt. I got a bunch of new t-shirts. I've got just the links down below in the description. I got the Farang Lives Matter. I got different versions of an American in Bangkok. I got all kinds of stuff. I got Bar Girl Lives Matter too, if you're interested. So that's where we're at. I hope to see you next time, whenever that may be. Until next time, I'm Scott. I'm an American in Bangkok. Choke D. Choke D, choke D. Leo Jerk and my. Yes, everybody be safe. Take care. Take your medicine. Get your shots. Put your 3 masks on. Lady across the street, I see her yesterday. She's waving at me. I'm like, who is that? She's all covered up, all bundled up. She's got gloves on. I'm like, how is this lady not burning up? She's got 3 masks on. I'm like, wow. So she's a little bit. And all that good stuff.